Oh, okay. Thank you very much for coming to this evening. Is the sound good? It's good in my ear, that's for sure. Um, so why have we not got wireless technology? Yeah, blockchain technology. Where is it? I just want to say thank you very much for everybody to come. One of the reasons we're hosting it in the Postal Museum is because what is the post originally? It's all about communication. It's all about transferring information. And as you'll find out in a minute from the ugly mugs on the front row, who are the contributors to the book, sorry, maybe further back, is, blockchain is all about transparent and trusted transactions. If you read the poster, because that's what it says, that's what I wrote. And I think, what I've got the guys here to do today is, I'm not going to say too much because I do this all the time, as does Ariel. But I'm going to get the guys who contributed to the book to just talk a bit more about blockchain and what we're doing. I think for myself, it's been an amazing journey over the last sort of 3 and a bit years. When I first got into blockchain, Mark Lewis from Practicology is here. And I was in a consultancy, retail consultancy, and I remember sitting there going, what's Bitcoin? What's blockchain? And Mark was the CTO of the company, and I asked Mark, and Mark said, I've no idea. He had no idea. I remember with Raimundo, who was one of the IT guys there, it was, let's have a look at this and start getting into it. So straight away I went from Bitcoin to blockchain. And obviously blockchain is a lot more interesting than Bitcoin, unless you're an investor. Good or bad, depending when you bought. Anybody bought in end of 2017? Most people do. So in terms of where we've got to, is enterprise blockchain is what's happening now. And I think, from Luxoft and DXC Technology, who sponsored the evening, so I'm managing director of the blockchain practice at Luxoft and DXC. And the last sort of 6 months or so, we built the practice. It used to be 2 different practices. We brought it together, and we're now commercializing it. And there's a lot of interest in this. And I think a lot of times I get asked about, is this real? Is this still a fad? Which amazes me, because I've been doing this for 3 and a bit years. And when you spend talking to these guys, it feels as though everybody should know about blockchain and everybody should know what's happening. But it is real, it is happening, it is going to change lives. And I think I always talk about it as revolutionary, and it's going to change everything. It underpins the change, okay? So it's not blockchain is not going to revolutionize everything, it's what you can do with it. So it's about what you do with the technology rather than the technology itself. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, because Ariel's looking very interested, I'm going to give them a maximum of 5 minutes. If anybody knows Ariel, Ariel can talk for at least 10 hours See, Ariel's team's at the back. Literally, I can talk about blockchain for hours. He can talk about it for days, like literally days. So I'm going to get Ariel, first of all, then Emma, Ariel is from FinServe Experts, and he wrote the history of blockchain, which was really cool, and he'll tell you about the story in a second. Emma McClarkin, she was an MEP until Brexit happened. But anyway, Emma wrote a very amazing part so Emma was working with the European Parliament until obviously the last elections, and she's written about global trade. And it's frustrating when you see the stuff that happens in the world, and there's information there of how you could solve it. So Emma's got a great story there. Victoria shouldn't be here. Well, she's sat in the front. Just sit where you want. Nikhil is from UCL, so University College London, Centre for Blockchain Technology. He wrote the most in the book after me, by the way. I did write some of the book. Most people think I didn't write any, I did. Nikhil wrote the second most amount on FS, so on the financial services. He's an expert in FS, his background's in FS, but he's written some amazing stuff in that. Gary from Monochain, so Monochain is a startup doing some really cool things with the second market, circular economy, and sort of helping, in essence, monetize clothing and luxury items in the future and track them and trace them and all the good stuff blockchain does. Soft here. Vikram isn't going to speak, but I'm going to mention him anyway. So Vikram was one of the guys from Oracle. So previous to DXC, I was at Oracle, and he wrote about Ripple transactions. No. Most importantly, he wrote about the difference between the database and blockchain, which was one of the first questions that you ever get asked. Is it a database? No, it is not a database, is the answer. But he wrote the answer that actually tells you what the difference is. So it's a ledger rather than a database. And then finally, and not least, is Peter from Oracle. And Peter wrote about how technologies are integrating together. Because as I said, blockchain is not just one on its own, it's all together. So IoT, 5G, AI, all this good stuff. So I'll pass you over to Ariel first, and he'll do less than 5 minutes.
Feel free to slap me when I go over. Hi, I'm Ariel Wallano. I lead a small consultancy called FinServe Experts, all of whom are here tonight. This is actually the first time in our 3-year history that all of our 5-member team is in the same country, let alone the same place. So we just came here from our very first all hands. We design and implement DLT solutions, led the blockchain prototype for trade settlement and claim agreement at Lloyd's of London, and are currently designing the blockchain as a service offering for Deutsche Telekom, which they'll be launching later this year to compete with the likes of Amazon and Microsoft. As Anthony said, I wrote the section in the book on the historical precedent for blockchain and why it's so transformative. Anybody who knows me knows that I look at the future through the lens of the past. And when I started, I first became aware of blockchain back in 2011 with the Gawker article on the Silk Road, which I think is where a lot of us first came to know about its existence. And typically for me, the first thing I did was sort of look back in history to find out where this came from. And in the case of blockchain, it actually came about 4,000 years before the dawn of history, from the very, very first contracts that humans had with each other. And those of you who are in this space will be perhaps unsurprised, but pleased to know that the very first contracts were tokenized. The token contracts originated about 12,000 years ago in ancient Sumeria, and they were intended to satisfy the same business requirement, which I term in the book the world's first business requirement, which is to have an independently verifiable record of a commitment between multiple parties. So this is something people have been trying to solve for a long time. There have been a number of innovations along the way, and blockchain, to my mind, is the first big step change since about 1390, when we invented double entry accounting. Want to know more, read the book, and I'm going to surprise Anthony by finishing it that.
Good evening, everybody. Anthony is great because he brings us all together, and I'm quite new to the blockchain family. It is a technology I got very excited about. So I know that many of you in this room may have been having conversations for years and sometimes think, I'm having the same conversations again and again. Keep having them, because you're bringing in new people who will become the new ambassadors and go out and sell it again and again and keep explaining how it works. And I think it's really about how we demystify what blockchain is and make it really, really simple for people to understand. And when they do, most of them go, how are we not using it everywhere? And that's what happened to me. Now, as a policymaker, I was interested in it from my perspective. How can we make sure when we're setting a regulatory framework, when we're negotiating international trade agreements, that we are considering the use of technology in the policy when we set it out? Because that policy and that framework can be there for many years. So is it open to the use of blockchain or other technologies as we develop that? And can it help us find the solutions that we're looking for from a policy perspective to deliver? So inefficiencies in supply chains and problems and barriers to doing more international trade and customs borders checks and things like this. can technology provide us with a solution to something that we're trying to find legislation to do? And I do believe that blockchain is a solution that should be deployed. I don't know why it hasn't been taken up as widely as it should be, but it really is going to help us with a lot of problems that we have. So my chapter in the book really looks at where the pinch points are in global trade and how blockchain can be used to help those. And absolutely, it is very easy to understand in terms of reducing administrative burdens. The number of certificates, administrations that they have at different customs border checks. In each country's got different sets of that. Blockchain is a solution that we can simplify all of those administrative burdens, for example. Can it share the data that we need to be shared to have confidence in trading globally? Absolutely. And blockchain is another provider of that data exchange where we can do that. And injecting, particularly from my perspective, when we look at global trade, big businesses can cope with a lot of those barriers. They can overcome them. They have the resources to do so. But this has a real impact for small and medium-sized enterprises to lift them up and make them more international in what they're doing. And I believe it has true transformative powers in terms of helping the developing world. And in countries where you lack confidence, and consumers and also business lack confidence to trade there, if we had something immutable that showed and gave real transparency to the whole of that transactional line, it can make a huge difference to developing countries in which we don't have as much confidence that we at this moment in time. So it has an enormous potential to deliver so much if we can only help people understand how simple a process it is, give them the confidence to invest in this. And once it's deployed, I truly believe it will be like dominoes. It will start being used and taken up sector by sector all across the world. And actually, those that take it up first will be ahead of the curve. And I'm very excited about the future. I hope this book helps people understand that blockchain is not just a buzzword. It can actually be used in a commercial way to solve real problems in terms of global trade. Thanks.
Yeah, keep it wine, of course. Okay, right. Hopefully don't tell people the wine. I hopefully don't spill it everywhere. So first about me, so my name is Nikhil Vadgama. I wrote the chapter in this book about banks becoming technology companies. And so I'm from the UCL Center for Blockchain Technologies. By virtue, we are the world's largest and oldest blockchain center in the world, all of 3.5 years old. Right? So we do lots of exciting things like research and education and working with commercial partners who we solicit donations from to help fund us, I hope some of the companies were here this evening. This book, of course, should have been called Commercializing Blockchain, Strategic Applications in the Real World by Anthony Welfare and Nikhil Vadgama. Because I, of course, did write the second largest amount in the book because, to give a proper treatment of how blockchain is impacting the financial services world does probably, in fact, require a book of itself, right? But the point I want to make is, blockchain is still very early in its development in terms of the potential of the technology for the future. And if we think about it in terms of strong technologies and weak technologies, currently blockchain is transitioning from its strong form, which is sort of the public, decentralized, privacy-enhancing technology, into sort of the enterprise blockchain, which one could say would be a more weak kind of form of the technology. And if we're lucky, we'll get back through this kind of moving through this trough of disillusionment, in a sense, if you think about it in terms of the Gartner hype cycle, back into what is the strong form of the technology, which is, again, public decentralized systems. And of course, that's going to take time because this is a completely new fundamental technology that is going to have massive impacts in our lives. But that is, something that is not going to happen overnight, of course. The last point is, a lot of people may not realize, but banks really are technology companies. And I'll give you an anecdote. Even young people don't really realize this. I teach a fintech course for a master's in finance at UCL. And as part of our course, we have to pitch our modules to them. So I pitched my fintech module. And of course, first I asked them, so how many people here want to work for technology companies? How many people raised their hands? Not one. I said, who here wants to work for Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs? How many people raised their hands? Everybody. And what was the next slide? The CEO of Morgan Stanley saying, we are a technology company. The CEO of Goldman Sachs saying, we are a technology company. So, technology is pervading our lives in so many ways that, every kind of company needs to really think of themselves as a technology company. And by reading a book like this, you can get a flavor of how technology, especially blockchain technology, is impacting all aspects of the business world and our lives at the moment and in the future. That's it.
Thank you. So next on to Monochain, which is a real company doing real things in blockchain. So Gary, no pressure.
Hi everyone, I've been in this space since 2014. So as Nikhil mentioned, blockchain at the time is all about financial services. So the partner that the VC firm I was working was thinking that the other use case would be in the gaming space. And this is how my kind of Bitcoin / blockchain journey started. In like 2018, I started a company called Monochain, where essentially what we do is we tokenize physical assets such as clothes, like jewelry, watches. We create a certificate for all these items, and you can have them in your Monochain wallet. So essentially, we treat even assets which you see and use in your daily life as a token. So there are two types of token. It's like non-fungible token and fungible token. So non-fungible sounds like a very kind of mushroomy type term, but it actually is very simple. So what fungible means essentially means that identity is identical. So an example in real life, a fungible token is £1 coin. So you can exchange it to another pound coin, it doesn't matter. Non-fungible token, it means that you will not be able to exchange it. So your driving license is an example of non-fungible token. So if someone gives another driving license for yours, if you exchange it, it will be worthless, it will be pointless. So we use the same kind of like, the same concepts that can be translated into the blockchain world. And we apply that at Monochain. As Anthony mentioned, we are all about like reuse, trying to increase the use of the items and recycle. So we are a circular economy-based business. And in the book, I wrote about tokenization, what are non-fungible tokens, fungible tokens, circular economy. So the 3 R's of circular economies are reduce, reuse, and recycle. And how kind of Monochain applies this concept in real life. So we've been working with a couple of businesses. So we've issued over like 3,000 certificates already, and we're seeing huge interest from users and businesses at the same time.
Okay, so finally it's Peter from Oracle, because Vikram doesn't want to speak. We should all make him talk after. He's shy. I used to work with Vic, and he's the sort of solutions architect, tech guy, the brains behind it. So I used to go and talk to the clients and do all the nice, easy sales bit. And then when they ask the questions about how does this work, how does that work, Vic, he'll answer any questions for you. So yeah, but Vic wrote a lot of the techie bits in the book, which is great, and some good experience. And then finally over to Peter.
I wouldn't applaud just yet, thanks. No, so I'm Peter Banbridge. I happen to work in Oracle, where Anthony used to have the pleasure to work. On the industry-focused group around retail and consumer goods. So my section in the book was more about how the use cases are fairly key in driving through the adoption of blockchain. It's not purely a technology question. It's more about the business purpose you're trying to address, but also how assorted emerging technologies are actually coming together. Whether that's IoT devices giving you that data feed, so you've actually got something useful to then write to the blockchain, or whether it's using AI and ML in terms of artificial intelligence and machine learning to actually derive more value from the data to get better insights, make better business decisions, or for that matter, tying it into other emerging technologies. I mean, there's lots of debate about whether quantum computing will impact on the future of blockchain, but I'm not going there, don't worry, I'll be here too long.
I answered that question.
Yeah, clearly. I remember the chapter well. High performance computing will have an impact. But suffice to say, I think the future for blockchain will actually get embedded more and more into fairly standardized enterprise environments. Right? It'll become an inherent part of the infrastructure. It's only a matter of time before we get there. So hopefully we'll get past the hype. I'm an ex-Gartner analyst, by the way. So when Gartner says it's 5 to 10 years before it'll take off, they're completely and utterly wrong. But hey, we know that because we've got live customers as you have today. But no, I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the book. An honor and a privilege for me. My boss, Michael Flores, who is unfortunately not here today, he's over in Atlanta. He and I are both pleasure to contribute a small section towards the book. I'm delighted to be here, and thank you everybody for coming along today.
Okay, so it's the first time I've actually had so many contributors, and I think this is why I got contributors in it. It's not because I'm lazy and I can't write. I have published a previous book, which is an Amazon #1 bestseller, thank you. It was because nobody knows everything or really that much about blockchain. You know, you've just heard from some of the experts. They know this much. I know this much. I know quite a lot of you in the audience are blockchain experts as well, but we only know this much each. And blockchain is about community as well. It is about growing and understanding, working together. It is a different way of doing business in a way. So one of the things that I've been learning over the last sort of 6 months or so with Luxoft and DXC Technologies is first of all around the identity side of it. That's taking off. So there's not a lot about identity in the books. If I was going to write it again, I'd be writing reams and reams on identity. The second volume, yeah, exactly. No, please. But the identity side of it, an identity of things, people, entities, the whole world of that, and within Luxoft, I've been very fortunate to have a team of experts in this. They have hacked my website, thank you very much to my team. Ben, you can mention it to Alexander. So they know what they're doing inside out in terms of a tech point of view, but what we're working on is the business side of it as well. And I think, you know, Ben is one of my team from the UK and DXC. And what we do is spend more time talking to clients just about business, about how it works, how it changes. I think the blockchain community as a whole spend too much time talking about the tech. Do I really care about the tech? No. I care what it does, and so do you. And I think some of the videos we started doing as well, the Oracle guys used to do some amazing videos, and then as Luxoft, we're doing some videos of just what it does for you, rather than trying to explain how it works, whether it's a database, whether it's this, that, and the other. It doesn't matter, it's how it works. And, you know, everybody said the same thing. And I think this, for me, is the start of where we need to work together. You know, and there's a lot of people in the audience, which I talk to, you know, and sort of catch up with. We need to grow this because we need every man on the street, every woman on the street to understand what this can do to them, and not the crypto, ICO, STO, ABC, XYZ, and all that BS that comes out. Because too many people talk about that side of it. You know, you could have made a lot of money in 2017 if you'd have got it right, but that was gambling. You know, that was the whole world of gambling. Cryptocurrency has a place in blockchain. It's more through what Gary talked about, tokenization, really. You know, are we going to replace the dollar, the pound, or the, you know, Venezuela, whatever it is, etc.? Probably should do, because they're all badly run and they're all, you know, not doing very well, although the pound's slightly going up. Well, hey, Brexit. So I normally mention that word at the start, but I thought, I'm in London, it's boring, we're all fed up with that. Can we have a chat about Brexit instead? No. Emma is going to kill me, by the way. I can just see this. So Damien Moore was supposed to be here. Unfortunately, he had a family bereavement this morning, so he can't be here. But Damien is an MP in the UK government, and he's been very supportive for the last 2 or 3 years, really, hasn't it? Around trying to get the blockchain message through to the UK government and what needs to happen. As Emma said, we as the blockchain experts around, you know, this room and wider, we need to explain to the government what they should or shouldn't be doing. I was fortunate enough last week to be in Senate, so actually did, you know, launching it here now. I was in the Senate, and it was a very cool event. Unfortunately, I don't know whether, if you know about US politics, last Tuesday night, I think it was, and somebody called Trump, Donald, is it, or someone? Anyway, somebody else called Nancy, who's the Speaker of the House, decided to, at 5 p.m., as my speech was about to start, to do a speech about impeaching a president. What's more important, blockchain or Trump? Blockchain. Whoever said that can have $10. So, but it's about getting the message out. The UK government, the European Parliament, and the US government, they are trying to understand this, and they're trying to sort of not over-regulate or under-regulate or do things. To be honest, I'm not sure they actually have a clue, but they need to be educated, and I think part of our role as part of the community is to help this. And I know there's a few of the guys in here are part of the Damien sort of advisory group doing that. So I think that's about it. I could talk on hours. If you go online, you can see all my videos anyway. I didn't want to do this as a sort of blockchain education session because that's in the book. So what's going to happen this evening is very exciting because after this, I'm going to put this down. We're all going to sit behind, the contributors and myself are going to sit behind the desk, like we're at school or something, and you can take a complimentary copy of the book and we'll autograph it for you. More importantly, the drinks will be flown over there and canapes will come out. And if you'd like to go and see in the museum, you're welcome to wander around the museum. It's quite interesting about how the postal service became. And then obviously you come out this end and you see blockchain. So maybe we should have a chat with Royal Mail and say that we've totally changed the Royal Mail into blockchain company. Well, hey, that's a new way. Anyway, so I want to thank the contributors for coming along, and much appreciated. Thank the other 7, 8 contributors that aren't here for adding value. And most importantly, thank you for turning up. It's a pleasure to see you all. And enjoy the book and enjoy the evening. Thank you very much.